I've noticed over the years that I like making craft projects in a lot of different mediums. By request, I'm going to talk about some of my favorite ways to make things and also share with you some of the mediums that I've been eyeing lately that I hope to try out soon. Ever since I was a kid, I've enjoyed learning new ways to make things, and every year or so I find myself just completely obsessing over tutorials and supplies for a new medium that I want to learn. Even though it takes a fair amount of time to learn and develop all of these new skills, if I hadn't tried them in the first place, I never would have discovered my favorites. Sometimes I have this urge to create something and my current skill set just doesn't do the idea justice. By learning new skills, I'm able to kind of keep quenching that creative thirst. So I'm going to start off with a bunch of my favorite mediums that I love to create in. Probably the one that I'm best known for is sewing plush toys. I started doing this back in 2010, but it was something that I had wanted to do for a really long time. I've just always loved plush toys, and as I got older, it became more and more apparent that I just needed to learn how to make them because they make me super happy. They're soft and cute, and I finally just sat down and taught myself how to do it. I got a sewing machine, not this one, a much less expensive one that broke less than a year later. But anyway, I started out by designing my own patterns, which is kind of backwards. I feel like people usually start out by using other people's patterns and then learn how to design their own, but I just had these specific ideas for what I wanted, so I just created them myself. I have a bunch of DIY tutorials right here on my YouTube channel where you can learn how to make some of the plushies that I've designed, and I also sell a bunch of the plushies that I make on my Etsy shop, which is called Fairweather Friends. I've also been really into journaling as a way to express my creativity. I was really into journaling when I was in middle school and high school. I pretty much wrote in a journal every day for like 5 or 6 years. Certain times in my life I've stopped and started again, and so lately I've been on a really big journaling kick. I've been writing in a traveler's notebook every single day and also taking it when I travel and writing about the trips that I'm on. I've also been bullet journaling to help keep myself organized, and I just really like journaling. I like working on my handwriting and practicing hand lettering in the journals and just documenting my life so I remember the things I want to remember. And for me, there's just something about writing with a pen on paper that I don't really get to do that much outside of journaling. Another medium that I enjoy working in is making crafts out of felt and incorporating a little bit of embroidery. Felt is really easy to find, it's available in a ton of colors, it's not that expensive, and one thing that's really great about working with felt is that it does not stretch. So I've been making like these little felt pins, and I've made all kinds of felt accessories, and I've been practicing my embroidery on felt crafts as opposed to like on fabric in a hoop, and I really like it. I also find that it's much quicker to design for felt than it is to design for, the other kinds of fabric that I make my plushies out of. So it's kind of refreshing to take a break from making plushies and just work with felt for a little while. One thing that I've really been enjoying lately is making buttons. I bought this super heavy button press a long time ago, and I just kind of recently rediscovered it, and so I've been making so many buttons. Initially when I started, I would design the whole button on my computer and then print out the sheet of button pieces and then cut them out and just make them right into buttons from there. But I don't really like having to buy a lot of colorful ink for my printer. It's super expensive. So one thing that I've been doing lately is just doing like a little hand lettered design, shrinking it down, printing it out in black and white, and then cutting them out. And then I go through magazines and find pages with lots of color, and then I cut the buttons out of those magazine pages and glue the hand lettered piece on top. So I get a lot of color without using a ton of printer ink. I feel like they look more professional because nothing colorful ever really looks that good coming out of my printer, which is not a fancy printer at all. And then as a result, every single one looks completely different because the backgrounds are completely unique. Really nice button presses are really expensive. I would not have purchased one for myself if I didn't know that I was, about to go on a tour and I could probably sell 300 of them without any problems. But if you're thinking about getting one, and I'll link to the one that I have in the video description below, you may want to think about maybe splitting it with a group of friends and sharing it so that you all can kind of work on it. The button pieces themselves are really inexpensive, which is helpful. And one more medium that I'm really into is card making. I love that when somebody's birthday is coming up, I can just make them a card because I'm really a procrastinator. I always forget to buy people cards for their birthday, and so I'm always pulling cardstock out of my supply stash and just making them by hand on the spot. And I really like doing that. I feel like people really enjoy handmade cards, and I've also done a bunch of fun tutorials on this channel where I like make really complicated cards with like little 3D elements that stand off the page. At some point, I just bought this huge $20 block of every color of the rainbow cardstock that you could ever want, and so now anytime I want to make any kind of card, I pretty much have what I need right here, and that's really fun. So there are a couple crafty mediums that I didn't want to go without mentioning, but these are ones that I wish I were better at. I want to work on them more, but I just haven't had the time. A while back, I learned how to knit and crochet, and when I was in college, I had a lot more free time on my hands, so I really did a lot of knitting and crocheting, and I made a lot of gifts for people. Crocheting little toys was actually my first foray into making my own plushies, so that has a special place in my heart. And I wish I had more time for it because I love them. I have all these really great books full of crochet patterns, and they're quicker to work up than the knit projects, which a lot of times I would do like big scarves, and it took me a long time, but I, had time to work on them. And another thing that I really have been meaning to get better at is scrapbooking. I have so many great scrapbooking supplies and just a zillion pictures of my kid, and I really want to put together a big scrapbook with a ton of photos of his first couple of years. And I just haven't had time. I hope that by the time he could look back at them and enjoy them, that they exist, because I, had that growing up. My mom had these huge scrapbooks for me and my sisters, and we loved looking through them, and I'm so crafty, and I want to do that for him, but yeah, just haven't had the time. So now I'm going to talk about 3 mediums that I have been completely obsessing over, and I really, really want to try them when I have a chance to learn how to do that and develop the skill properly. So for a while, I was completely obsessing over polymer clay. There are so many great polymer clay tutorials on YouTube, and I bought a bunch of it, and I just have not had time. I think I maybe made 2 or 3 little projects, but then I had to go back to the stuff that was actually making me money, because this is my job and I can't just make stuff for fun all the time. I need to like shelter and feed my family, so that kind of got put on the back burner. But there's so many fun colors, and I've seen so many beautiful polymer clay sculptures out there. You can just make it in your house. You don't need to have like a big fancy expensive kiln and a bunch of ventilation for it. I hope that at some point I can try that again because it looks like a lot of fun. Another thing that I'm actively learning how to do is lino-cut block printing. I thought of this recently because I wanted to have a bunch of stuff printed and I just couldn't afford it. So I started looking into a bunch of different printing methods, and this seems like right up my alley. You buy a block of linoleum and you draw your design on it, and you cut it out with these little tools, and then you put ink on it and stamp it onto whatever you want to print on. And so I hope that soon I get a chance to actually try this because it looks like so much fun. This is my current obsession that I'm trying to learn how to do, and so I hope that pretty soon I have some prints that I can share with you. And then the third crafty medium that I've been wanting to try is digital painting. I've been a graphic designer for a really long time now, and I love working on the computer. It's so nice to, have a blank slate and make a mark and not like it and just be able to literally grab it and move it around. There's so little pressure compared to painting for real on a canvas. And so I really want to try digital painting. A lot of my stuff is just, very clean vectors, and I just want to get as messy as you can get with a digital medium. But I've been watching a bunch of tutorials for digital painting, and I have been thinking about trying it. And ever since I had my son and my amount of time that I had to create things was drastically reduced, I've been feeling like it's probably a good idea to get some kind of digital art store up online that can print my stuff on demand and send it out to people for me. It's a big time saver. So I've been working in a sketchbook, and I think that at some point I'm going to trace a bunch of my designs and try to paint them digitally on my computer. What are your favorite ways to express yourself creatively? And do you have any recommendations for crafty mediums that I should try? Let me know in the comments below, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so you can see what I make next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.